Let's talk about whale falls. So, whale falls are these phenomena that happen when a large whale, such as a humpback or a sperm whale or a blue whale, dies somewhere in the water column and they end up sinking to the bottom of the ocean. Now, this doesn't happen all of the time. Occasionally, these whales will develop enough gases where they kind of bloat and stay at the top of the surface, where they are picked at by things like sharks and seabirds, but when that doesn't happen, they slowly make their way down to the very deep and usually lightless levels of the ocean floor. When that happens, they become this whale fall, and they are very, very, very important to the entire biodiversity and ecology of the deep sea and ocean floor. At the ocean floor, it's typically very dark, very cold, and has a lot lower oxygen levels, so the decomposition process slows significantly. So, left under normal circumstances, the whale carcass could be still there, pretty much intact, for many decades, if not hundreds of years. However, due to the ecology of the ocean floor, that doesn't really happen because the whale fall then becomes this massive, incredibly important food source for everything in the local area, and in itself becomes its own micro ecosystem. Whales are very large and have a lot of fuel resources for other organisms, so they become an absolute staple resource at the bottom of the ocean, sustaining things like bacteria, cephalopods, like all of these little octopus you can see all around this skeleton, as well as echinoderms like starfish, other mollusks like clams, many other arthropods like crabs and lobsters and shrimp and all those little guys, many fish species, the most well-known ones being hagfish, and many types of annelids and nematodes and other marine worms. Basically, every type of animal phylum that is below the surface of the ocean can be found somewhere on these whale falls. There are even some species that specialize specifically to only live and have their pretty much entire life cycle on these whale falls and are completely dependent on the whale falls to live and continue reproducing into the next generation. Every time there is a whale fall in a specific spot, the local biodiversity of that area just explodes because there's so much to go around. There's rather little competition in the local area, and everything gets a absolutely massive boost. This in turn helps the less local area because as all of these newly spawned and healthy and fattened up organisms kind of disperse off of the area, then other less localized organisms have an increased food source as well. So it is this whole feedback loop. And since whale falls are such a massive change to the ecosystem, they undergo their own specific type of succession with their own localized specific stages. Now, I've talked about succession before, so I haven't mentioned kind of these stages that it goes through, but whale falls do have their own specific ones because they're that important and unique to the environment. Now, since they are so important, there is some effects that humans had on these whale falls, unintentionally but still drastically, through the whaling industry. The whaling industry captured and killed so many whales, like a ridiculous amount, that there were pretty much no natural whale falls in a very long time. So that had a massive disruption on the deep sea ecosystem that we really still don't know the effect of today, and likely had a lot of different effects that we're completely unaware of because we didn't really know a lot about deep sea ecosystems. Whaling is pretty much banned almost everywhere today, and now luckily there are still whales that will continue to live out their full natural life cycle and at the end hopefully become a whale fall where they can sustain the local ecosystem for, again, even decades to come.